fall for this life I was chosen. Mama told me don't get caught in the moment. Shawty know that she got what I want, and I'ma go in these bars on water like I want it, I promise.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Kid Clutch, and today we are talking about, honestly, this anime might be goated. I'm a Frieren Beyond Journey's End. This anime is incredible. I've seen so many good things about it. I love it. Shout out to Bodega. He is hating on it, but it honestly is just one of the most unique premises I've ever seen in an anime. It's not like this journey to go fight the Demon King, right? It's beyond Journey's End. So after the journey happens, Frieren in her aspect, beautiful. I love the character interactions, though the character subtleties were in terms of like we kind of see the characters do things and we kind of see the character motivations and just the things that like what has happened to Frieren and how it affects her as an elf. She has to kind of, you know, put her feelings away because the people around her are not going to be with her forever because she outlives everyone. I love that concept. It's such an interesting aspect, right? The overall way that it handles the current timeline and then gives us flashbacks into what happened previously on her journey, and just the things that mirror and just the things that kind of correlate, and now she finally understands them better because she lived them, and now she's going with other big. That's so good. That is fantastic. It's so good. It honestly, it's probably going right now. My favorite anime is going out. Yes, beating out Solo Leveling, beating out Classroom of the Elite, beating out Mashal, beating out Shangri-La Frontier, which is also pretty decent right now. But it's so good. The animation, by the way, is beautiful, right? It's not all action, you know. It's not just crazy action fights and crazy. There is some, you know, like we have Stark versus the dragon. We have Frieren versus her elf. What's it like? The stone copy clone. Oh, that was nice. That animation was crisp. We have like Fern versus the demon, Stark versus the demon. Like great animation. But besides like in terms of like the fighting animation, just the animation for like the leaves and like the hair and just the thing like the background is just so well done. It's a beautiful anime. Now it's also not for everyone, where if you don't really like these interesting like slower like setting up just like world building character driven animes, you're probably not gonna like this. But if you kind of take a step back and enjoy the ride, you're gonna see so much beauty in this anime. I think it's phenomenal, right? The title of this is probably going to be something like Frieren actually might be goated. It might be the greatest late summer, because it genuinely is such an interesting and unique concept that I feel like it's got to have a mention, right? JJK season 2 was fantastic, of course, and I think the only other anime that actually could have given it a run for its money is Frieren, besides One Piece, right? But One Piece is kind of like a cheap answer because it's always ongoing. But like Frieren, I honestly would probably say if Frieren, all 24 or 28 episodes had come out last year, I think it would have beat JJK, because I think it's a little bit better. I mean, that's honestly pretty hard to say for me because I love JJK, and season 2 was my favorite season of JJK. But I feel like in terms of like on paper, Frieren might be a little bit better, but JJK is just overall better in a lot more things because JJK has a little bit better character, like in terms of like more iconic, better characters. The fights are like different and probably a little bit better. But I feel like on paper, I think at the very least Frieren competes with it, and I would not have been mad if we got all 20 episodes last year, and it would have beat out JJK, because I feel like it would have been fair. I would have been mad. I like JJK. I voted for Anime of the Year, but it's close, okay? And that might be blasphemous for people, but like that, it's close. The characters overall in Frieren though are just amazing. Like I loved the dynamic between Frieren and her old group with like Himmel and Hyder and I forgot the other one, but I loved them, and I love how kind of like she's kind of remembering little aspect where it's not her journey when she was fighting the Demon King. It's her journey after, and then We learn more about her adventure as she went to fight the Demon King. So interesting, such an interesting concept where it's using flashbacks of the actual important aspect of the lore of Frieren to emphasize the current timeline. It's so well done. I'm also not even a huge fan of fantasy anime, but like this one, it does something different that I think it's so good. There's so many hype moments, it might be slow, but honestly, I remember watching the first couple episodes and I'm like, man, nothing's happening. But I'm like, I'm seeing what they're kind of doing, and I'm like, that was a wholesome moment. I like that moment. That moment is like it's gonna go under the radar, but it's interesting. This dynamic, this character interaction, this character aspect, this character motivation, this character action. I'm just like very meticulous, very well set it up. And again, like, the interactions are just amazing. Like the way the characters bounce off each other, like Stark and Fern, so adorable. Stark, his whole character is really funny. He's kind of a different, or he's like, oh, like I'm just like, oh, she's mad at me, and then Fern's like this little like tsundere, but like she's actually kind of funny. Like she's not like, oh, the biggest tsundere, but she's also not like just like this wholesome. Oh, I don't know. Like it's interesting, right? I love when the characters fight as well. Like the way like I love when Fern was fighting. She's like, she's really good. The other girl was like, she's really good, but it's like fighting my grandpa. Like, or that was so funny to me. Frieren's also just a monster. Like she's going crazy. Like she is literally going crazy. I love how they make her so strong, because obviously she has the experience and she's the elf. But and like everyone else is like, they're not like weak, but like compared to her, they're kind of weak. Like what's the guy's name? I think his name is Deck, the old guy, and he was like normal people when they're out of mana, and then it's like, oh, we're done, or I'm just gonna take a nap, and he's like, no, we're about to start fighting when he's out of mana, because that's when they could have passed the test. That was so funny. Oh, Denkin is his name, I believe. Denkin. Such a funny. I love him. All the characters I just kind of enjoy. So I just kind of wanted to make this video because I'm glazing Frieren because it's so good. I've said about 50,000 times in the series thread about in this video because it is just so well done. There's so many little intricacies to the anime that if you kind of just watch it and you're expecting something big, you're not going to get it. You're not really going to like it. But if you kind of take the time to kind of think about what's actually happening and kind of just enjoy the little moments, you really just start enjoying it. It kind of reminds me of like the concept of One Piece, of what One Piece wants to do, where it's not about the destination. The destination does not matter because what happens in this anime, they've already finished. They've already beat the Demon King, right? What happens is the journey. It's what happens after the journey and the little remnants of the demon, the remnants of how the world is, the world building, how the characters are, how the cities, the different cities are, the mana, the magic, the spells, her looking for spells. So much of it is just in those little details where it's kind of like reminds me of a game. Whereas a lot of people, myself included, of course, when you play games, right? You play games and then you're just trying to finish. You're trying to beat it, right? But then if you kind of take a step back at the very end of the game, you kind of take a mental note and mental memory of what actually happened. You're like, I actually really enjoyed like that game, not necessarily because of the ending, but because like when I was playing it, I was genuinely having fun, and that's what it kind of reminds me of the end, where it's like a lot of the time where you watch something, you're like, man, that ending was so good. I'm so glad, but then it's like you have to think about like, I enjoyed that because watching it every single week, I was thoroughly just like so interested because of what was happening. I enjoyed every episode, not just I enjoyed the whole thing as a whole. I enjoyed every little aspect, every little arc, every little thing they were doing. Because in this anime, we went from Frieren, just kind of going about, meeting her old party members and kind of seeing them slowly die. Then she gets introduced to Fern, and then she teaches Fern. And then we get to introduce to Stark. Then we have the demon stuff. And then we have, right now, it's the magic test thing. Then we have so many more characters who have all interesting interactions with each other, different, personalities and how they kind of go around. They're bouncing off each other so well, and like they're all like kind of coming together. The episode that had just happened, I have not watched it yet because it came out yesterday. But the last episode I saw was, I believe, 26. I believe it was. Or 20, I don't remember, but they had just beaten, Frieren had just Frieren had just been her clone. That was a sick moment. I mean, hello, the animation there, oh my god. But then like it was like she was like, good job, Frieren. I didn't have to use that in 80 years. It's like, how broken are you? And then we have, I forgot the other elf mage, and she's like, probably won't see each other again. But just know that if you were to die, it's going to be either, it wasn't a demon, right? It was something and a human, or I think it was an elf or a human mage. Interesting. I love that. Don't know if that's foreshadowing to what could happen or would happen, or it was foreshadowing for the clone, whereas the clone could be defeated by Frieren because she's a human mage. So I don't understand what's going on, but I'm interested. I love this anime. I honestly think it's contending. It's contending with the greats. It's gonna go unnoticed. A lot of people are not gonna watch it. It's not gonna get as much hype as like a JJK is, a Demon Slayer is, a Black Clover, you know, My Hero is, a Naruto, One Piece. It's not gonna get the hype like that. It's not. It's probably never gonna get to that status because it's a different genre. It's not like a shonen thing like that. It's not gonna get that hype. It deserves it, but it's gonna be. I honestly feel like we're gonna be talking about it in a couple years at the very least, and we're gonna say it's probably one of the most underrated anime ever because it's competes with some of the greats. At least now, I don't know how it's gonna happen. What happens in the manga? It competes with some of the greats, but it doesn't have the hype. So, yeah, that's gonna be it for me too. Because I just want to talk about Frieren really quick because I just kind of wanted to talk about what was going on. It's about to finish. I think we have 1 or 2 episodes left. I'm not entirely sure. I'm also glad it was 28 episodes, because if it was 24 episodes, I would not have been able to handle it, because I'm like, no, I need to know. I need to see what happens, because it's so well. It's like my guilty pleasure anime, where it's like, it's not this hype fighting, oh my god, character thing. It's like mellow, a little bit calmer, and I love it. I enjoy every single second, every single minute of it. If you enjoy it too, let me know in the comments. Hit the sub button, hit that like button, you know, comment down below your opinions. We have a podcast channel, me and Bodega Fresh. We've been going crazy, have a lot of things. If you have any suggestions for the podcast, any topics you want to discuss, leave it below here. Go subscribe to the podcast, comment on the podcast, like the podcast, you know, give us suggestions for on there too. Because we're working hard, we're trying to, you know, build ourselves up, because we love talking about anime. You know, the podcast has really made me want to talk about anime more, make a lot more videos. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, let me know. And you know, support the channel, and I'll catch y'all later.